Good morning, Jazeman, and thank you for coming for this interview.
Pleasure, Justin.
So glad to have you here.
Pleasure.
And we're going to talk basically about everything. So it's going to be a chill interview. And Jazeman Jaafar here, one of our top Malaysian drivers, he's going to be debuting on his Japan Super GT on this coming 24th to 26th of June. So make sure you come to Sepang and give them the support.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Jazeman, I'm very curious about drivers, professional drivers. How do you consistently motivate yourself to do well, especially if you are racing with different teams, different dynamics, different team managers, different co-drivers? Yeah. How do you consistently motivate yourself on that?
Well, first of all, throughout my career, I've raced for 25 years now. I started at 6 years old in karting. I went up the ladder by doing, Formula BMW, Formula 3 Renault World Series, Formula 1, and I started doing sports car racing.
Asian Renault.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
And then I did FIA World Endurance Championship and GTs. So over the years, I had the opportunity to race plenty of different types of race cars. At the same time, I have had plenty of different teammates as well over the years.
Right.
So I think from growing up in that progress of my career, that's where I learned and picked up certain traits and tricks of how to adapt as fast as I could. Also with teammates, there are very good teammates that could adapt, but there are also teammates that take time to develop. So sometimes it's also working as a team environment to be switched on. Opportunities don't come often in racing. It's not an easy opportunity that just comes naturally. But when the opportunity comes, you have to give your 120%. So I think to answer your question, over the years, having that opportunity to grow within the sport and work with different individuals gives me the trait to adapt as fast as I could. And I'm doing what I love, so I'm passionate every time I put the helmet on and deliver, so I'm still as passionate as when I started.
So even after 25 years, the passion is still burning?
Yes.
Doesn't tire you out, or doesn't come that day that said, that's it, I'm going to hang my suit up?
I know racing is not forever for me. I'm in my early 30s now.
Jazeman will be 33 this November.
33, yeah. So, lap times are still competitive, everything is still fast, probably fitness, I'm not as fit as when I was doing formulas, but it all matters when you deliver in the car. So it's, maybe being a racing driver is not forever. Yeah.
Talking about fitness, do teams assign personal trainers to you, or that is totally up to your own discipline?
Some of the teams do. They have probably an appointed coach or a fitness coach,
PT.
PT. Obviously the endurance teams, they would encourage because more of a team building type thing. But I train myself. I have a trainer myself. In terms of dietary, because of what I learned over the years, I just pick it up and look after myself naturally. I know that prior to 3 weeks to my race, I have my certain routines.
Right. 3 weeks?
3 weeks of high protein and loads of fluids and etc. As the races I do now, it's very, very hot, that kind of thing. So so that's how I keep myself fit.
Well, I guess the WEC World Endurance Championship, there is a different ball game. You need both a lot of mental and physical stamina. Will that be a totally different regimen of training you undergo?
Yeah, we did a few, I wouldn't say training camps, but team building training sessions lah. So with me and my teammates, Nabil and Wayron at the time, it was fantastic. We had a trainer called Pete Webster, super experienced in endurance racing. The team dynamic is as important as your fitness and your strength. Even if you're the fittest guy, you don't have a team player mindset.
Yes.
It won't work. If you have the strong mindset and you don't have the physique to drive double, triple, or quadruple stints. You're in the car for 4 hours. You can't roll the dice. With the strategy within the team. So you've got to be quite dynamic, and keeping yourself fit
Right.
during those races. So yeah, I was it was a great time. We won Fuji 6 hours. We won the podium in Silverstone. Yeah, we were shy of a podium in Spa. Finished fourth in Le Mans. So it was a very good year for three of us. But it's a shame that we were just short of a bit of funding to finish the season. Yeah.
Right. And also probably the subsequent year, yeah. Would you have gone on?
I would. We were tied on points. We were second in the championship at that time. And Signature Alpine had a team.
Right.
So we were gunning with them for the championship. But yeah, we had 3 rounds left, which was the US, Spa, and Le Mans again. Because at that time the calendar was a super season, so you had like 18 months of racing. But yeah, unfortunately, it was cut short.
You guys were on LMP2.
LMP2, correct.
Orica?
Orica,
Wow.
correct.
Then how was your experience with the Jackie Chan team?
Oh, incredible. Jackie himself was quite supportive towards building Asian drivers, giving the platform for Asian drivers to perform in the world stage. But the operators of the team were Jota, which is today the Cadillac factory team for hypercar. And it's the same guys, it's the same engineers, same owners, same technical directors. So it's a very young and small team from Tunbridge Wells, and yeah, they gave us the right tools to win those races. Yeah.
I think they have started the hypercar for this year, right?
Yeah.
Which is very, very exciting to watch.
Yes.
So, and coming on, being a race driver, of course, you need to be known out there, and in these times of social media, how do you handle those negativity that is constantly people who are jealous of you, people,
That's a very good question. I think that's the first I've had in a long time. There's always someone that is not agreeable or perhaps jealous of what you have achieved, and sometimes certain postings that might offend certain individuals.
Right.
I'm not really too bothered, because my passion and my drive is to win races, even on and off track. On track for sure as a racing driver, but off track with my corporate roles or whatever I do is to win anyway. So whether it annoys or the fact that I landed a few drives or deals, it's because I worked hard for it. So it's never easy, and it's quite painful to see certain comments.
Yeah.
But
sometimes it just sticks to you emotionally, and it's hard to
correct. Yeah.
get it out.
Correct. Yeah, my wife and my mom is a huge advocate of just putting the hard work and let the results do the talking. So yeah, it's been throughout my journey, but yeah, I don't really am too bothered about it.
Does marrying a paralegal wife help? The people tend to be careful of what they speak.
Yeah.
You get a legal letter from your wife.
That's true. Yeah, she's very good in a field. Yeah, she's now having her own events company that she does for corporates, and her contacts over the years that she's done in legal. So
she has stopped practicing.
Yeah, she stopped practicing. So events is her new forte.
Right.
Which she's doing very well. So I'm very happy for her.
Right.
Yeah.
And kids. So does having 2 kids slow you down in any way?
No way.
No
way.
We get that a lot. Oh, we have kids now. We think of our kids. We better don't drive that fast.
No way. I'm busier than ever.
Okay.
I'm very. The traveling obviously to the races and for work and stuff. I used to go for my trips for 2-3 weeks at a time, but now because of the kids, I'm back for 3-4 nights, and then I'm back home. Even for the races, I used to stay on and etc. But now I do my regimens of training and stuff back at home and try to spend more time at home with them.
Do you have a home gym?
I do have an area that I work out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this trainer that I have is someone who I've worked with for 10 years, so he knows my ins and outs. So
Right.
it's very easy, lah. Yeah.
So if you're racing overseas, does the presence of your wife helps in any way, or rather she's not being there helps you better to focus?
She comes to some, like WEC. She came to Shanghai. Most of my Sepang races, she's there on race day, but not all. Because for me,
Psychologically wise, do you think it's better for her to be there or not?
No, it's good. It's good support.
Okay.
I would say, my family comes on race day sometimes, but it's like going to the office for me. Wearing the helmet. And
Yeah.
stuff. Sometimes you don't bring your spouses or families to the
To
office,
work,
right? To
yeah.
work. So, but it's a unique work environment that people want to witness, right? So, and racing is always exciting. So, and my family is very supportive and wanting to be there. So yeah, it gives me a very good motivation.
Yeah, amazing that you have a supportive dad who starts you off karting at 6.
6, yeah,
And 16 already you are almost in professional, and you are one of the youngest drivers to get the international license C.
C, yeah,
As
correct.
well as the youngest driver. Is it still the youngest BMW
Champion,
champion?
yeah, at 14 years old.
14
yeah,
years
yeah.
old? Still is? You still hold the record?
Still, yeah. Those were the days. Yeah, late dad and I were, dad was, he had his health complications, and he was sort of, he had his work, and he was sort of semi-retired, but he was just passionate about the journey, and we were finding ways in the right formula to get there. We didn't have like someone we knew from Europe or someone to handhold our hand to the top, right? So we needed to find
The network wasn't there.
Correct. Yeah. So there was, my sister had a graduation in Manchester at the time, and
You were studying there as well?
she was studying there at the time, and we went for a graduation or convocation and everything, and we were meeting teams at the time already. Just to gain contacts and people that we never knew, and introduced us and how they developed drivers back then. So we used to do stuff like that, and then a matter of finding sponsors as well, right? So dad and I were doing, I was 9 years old, what I remember. We were doing these little sponsorship proposals, and after school with my school uniform, we would knock on doors, to Telekom Malaysia, to Sapura, to SCOMI, to these corporates to get a bit of sponsorship here and there. If you add up from 10,000 ringgit here, 5,000 ringgit here, you cover your flights, your accommodation, your insurance, it's still something than nothing, right?
Every dollar counts.
Correct, especially in motorsport. So yeah, that was a journey I really treasured with my late father, because we wanted that dream, and we were chasing for that goal very, very much. So yeah, I mean that he shaped me the person I am today. Yeah.
I believe that journey and the experience will help you probably in future as managing your own team, perhaps budgeting wise and
Yeah,
all the works.
I mean, it taught me the true value of
Hard work.
how expensive it is. A set of tires, set of brakes. Going racing, yes, probably is 6 rounds in a year, or you do multiple championships, it's 12, 15 rounds a year, right? But it's the training that costs a lot of money. You need to fine-tune your qualifying, you need to fine-tune your fitness. It's those hours of work that cost
The time
a lot
invested.
of the time and value, right? So when I started go-karting, it was a hobby weekend thing. Walk up on a Saturday and just drive and meet up with friends and whatever. But when things got serious, we started practicing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we started doing Asian championships, practicing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We started doing European championships. All of the boys were practicing after school, right? So the more laps you do, the more you get better. So yeah, it was those formulas that we needed to figure out, how they did it. So yeah, I mean, it was a a rewarding experience throughout.
Was it because was you started out as fun go-karting and your dad saw a potential in you, or was it just from the beginning he wanted you to achieve something?
No, I think when I was younger, it's those typical moments on, you know, you want to play football or you want to, you know, I played a bit of ice hockey that time in Summer Pyramid, and you know, I was one of those boys that just played anything, like, you know, just to have some fun. But I think I've always had a passion for cars, so I always collected Hot Wheels, Tamiya cars, you know, put them apart and put it back together, that type thing. And then when we saw kids at 7 to 10 driving and racing cars, and I remember my dad and I were like, wow, this is very cool, right?
It was in UK.
It was in Shah Alam, actually.
Shah Alam.
Yeah, it was in Shah Alam. So friends and neighbors of ours introduced to people in the scene, and I started a week later, back in '98, and I was very small, very skinny. I couldn't reach the pedals, so they put cushions and wooden blocks for me to reach the throttle and the brake just about. And Chalam was an open space go-kart track. I mean, it was a car park, right? So I had a mechanic in front with a rope, so that if I lose control, it's tied on to the rope, right? So and that's where my journey began, you know, of driving. So
the trainer was on another car.
On another car tied to the rope. So if I lose control, it's, you know, so he just
brakes.
Brakes and switch off the engine and that's it. So,
right.
So yeah, that's where my life began in motorsports. Yeah.
So what would be your most memorable race? Good and bad.
Monaco Grand Prix, winning Monaco in
Which year was that?
2015. In Formula Renault 3.5, so it was one of the feeder series to Formula One. I raced in Monaco 3 times, and the
All
first
three
time
in Formula 3.
all 3 in
Renault.
Formula Renault 3.5. Yeah,
3.5.
it was a support race on the Sunday, and I finished third the first time, finished third the second time, and the third time I told myself this year has to be the year. So I qualified pole.
Wow.
And the crazy story was, you know, the reconnaissance lap to the grid, I had gearbox issues. I couldn't shift gears. So we had an actuator and a compressor that was leaking at the time. So my heart sank, you know. This was a race that I dreamt to win, and, you know, probably God didn't want to give it quite easily. So they tried to fix it in the pits, and we had probably 5 minutes to gathering up on the grid.
Warm up lap.
So they couldn't fix it. So the car went to the grid, and normally to change the actuator and the compressor takes about half an hour and 45 minutes if you do it correctly. But they did it within 5 to 10 minutes.
When you're lining up.
Yeah, they took someone else's actuator, attached it on the top, taped it up, connected it, blah blah blah, and closed the engine, and it was green light. You know, it was green flag lap. So I didn't have the best of starts. You know, I led the race, and then there was a few safety cars and all that.
Did that mentally affect you?
It did. It was
with the tip on
it. And my parents was watching with my coach and manager at the time,
right,
from the balcony, and I remember, mom and dad were so nervous. I mean, I was nervous myself, but we managed to pull it through and won the race. So when the Nagaraku played, it was
emotional.
Wow, it was so special, and it was, you know, right in front of the Formula One paddock and the Monaco Grand Prix. So
right.
And when you win Monaco, it's one of the only races that you receive 2 trophies from the organizers, because one is the winner of Monaco Grand Prix, and the other one is from the championship from Renault 3.5. So when you receive the one in Monaco, is the one that you get your name engraved on the wall. So and then you get invited to the Monaco gala dinner and all that kind of stuff. So so the whole weekend was very, very special. Very
sure. Because they always said Monaco is something else, totally different.
It brought me back to the days, you know, with my dad, with his stopwatch, and learning from the mechanic, from the ropes in Shah Alam to winning in Monaco, you know. So it's it's very rewarding. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And your most rewarding championship?
I must say, Formula BMW Asia. Um, I won the championship by 1 point.
Oh, wow.
It was a very strong season, but I was very young and I made certain rookie errors as well. But the reason why we did Formula BMW was to get the attention from Petronas.
Okay.
Petronas had a program at the time called the PFX, Petronas Formula Experience.
Okay.
So because of their partnership with BMW, they had I think 15 Formula BMW cars to develop, nurture young drivers and talent in racing. So I wasn't chosen. I wasn't selected for some reason. Maybe I was underage. So my parents and I, we needed to find sponsors just enough to do the championship. So we got very good sponsorship. We did a lot of training in Sepang and etc. And I won the championship in the final round. So and I got the phone call from Petronas 2 days later. So that was very rewarding because halfway through the season, mom and dad said, "Look, if we don't win this championship, I think we got to call it quits for racing because
Wow.
we can't keep going, right?"
Yeah.
And yeah, we arrived there.
Right. Now let's talk about your company, Persona Energy Senyap Berhad.
Yes.
What was your inspiration on, and what does Persona Energy do?
Well, in the beginning, when I came back from the UK, I was obviously, other than being a racing driver, I wanted to venture in a few businesses. Persona started to look into renewable energy segment. We wanted to look into micro hydros to supply and store energy and electricity via energy storage by rainwater, and you do a mini hydro that could sustain electricity. But of course, it requires quite a big investment, and to be a small player in a big pond is also a huge gamble. And COVID happened, so I must say that we pushed towards education after that.
Okay.
And during my racing career, that's when I saw that no one was nurturing technicians and engineers in motorsports. So we did the first partnership, and we got our foot off the ground with Mari at the time, where we had 4 engineers, postgrads in the World Endurance Championship. And then we had, the second year I branched out to do more TVET talents. Vocational talents with the SM Peneraju. So we have 2 tiers, the ones that were going international and the ones can develop locally. And on the third year, we were approached by Porsche Motorsport Asia Pacific. So for Porsche AG, that was my goal and dream for the program, because you need a manufacturer. And we started doing 10 a year, and we had already 4 that is embedded in Porsche's pyramid. So we had 2 talents in Phantom Global, we had a talent in Earl Bamber Motorsport EBM, and they are the satellite teams within Porsche, where they go to Spa 24 and all that kind of stuff. So it gives them the opportunity. And when Yayasan Raja Muda Selangor, the foundation came in, is to help the underprivileged. So we give underprivileged a chance to reach internationally. So it's been great. It's been 5 years. I've got my new batch of 6 talents this year. It's very exciting every year, because you meet different talents and you try to push them as hard as you can. Porsche is very supportive. Yes, and very supportive. And we got a new signing coming up during a Super GT of a new partnership. So I'm very excited to announce soon.
Great. So other than UTM, who may provide the students, how do others underprivileged students approach or know about this program?
So we announce it via socials and the network via societies of engineering. So they would blast out to certain students. So we get about 60 CVs a year. They would email to us directly.
Okay.
And normally in January, it would take us about 6 weeks to taper off from 60 to 10. And then the second round, they will go through an interview with Yayasan, and the final endorsement will be done with Porsche. So it takes 3 steps
Stages.
to 3 stages to get there. Yeah.
So the micro hydro business is totally off
Yeah,
or still in the.
we decided not to continue. So we focused mostly on
Education.
education, motorsport consultancy, and management. Yeah.
Wow, that's the first time I heard of micro hydro.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
compared to the big dams and the macro,
Correct.
right?
Correct. So micro hydro is very very unique. Something that you can
Yes.
plug and play on top of a building, collect rainwater. You have a peloton wheel, kinetic energy, safe storage, and the storage
Yeah,
branches out to the building. So that was the idea. Yeah.
Right now, a lot of companies are going to sustainable energy.
Correct.
Probably that's
Correct.
something.
Correct.
But you have thought of that years ago, right?
Yes. Yes.
Your role as ED in Sepang as well as in MAM, um, what have you implemented or suggested that they have implemented, and what is in your pipeline for Sepang as well as MAM?
Sepang has. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be given the opportunity by MOF to be on the board. Obviously, as a GLC, it has its do's and don'ts, and it's quite restrictive to how things operate. But during my tenure, we managed to do and implement several key factors. Number one, governance on motorsport development. So we started up with the board's approval on motorsport development steering committee. So there's always a rep from KBS, board members, to govern certain grant sponsorship and KPIs for these programs. So we did in partnership with Deloitte to make sure that the scorecards and the KPI structures are properly implemented.
Deloitte is the one doing the auditing and
Yes, correct. And then we implemented the driving experience center, which is to supplement the big circuit. And the reason of building it is also to encourage newbies that they can learn road safety, different programs and opportunities for car manufacturers to do their launches and etc. to supplement the big track. We pushed up new pricing packages as well. Now the Super GT's return and etc. So Sepang has placed itself as a much more sustainable grade one circuit in the world. So and there's always cost factor, maintaining such a big circuit. So we tried to educate within the ministries of the priorities of implementation. So it's been great. I've been there 6 years. Still the youngest on the board, but maybe I'm a bit too loud of certain implementations, but it's got to get things done, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that the three managed to happen within the 6 years, despite of COVID. So yeah, I'm very happy that happened. On the MEM side, I just been appointed recently, about a year ago, on the EXCO, which is the board, like you said. I was just recently appointed as the Four Wheels Commission head. So MEM is a totally different ball game because you have your license holders. It's a non-profit organization. It's more on the governing body of the sport, right? But there's also implementation of motorsport development and mobility and road safety. So how do we make the sport much more accessible, and we, sanctioning sports, make sure it's safety and non-illegal racing as well.
Right.
But MEM is a broader audience because it's across all disciplines. You have circuit racing, rally, drag,
Two
wheels. You have your Cup Prix, your Asia Road Racing. You have all these events that
It's non-profit.
and it's non-profit. So, but now MEM is very much recognized by the sports ministry. So any new constitution, any new rulings and regulations is also shared within the Sporting Commission of KBS, and so there's a lot more engagement than what it was before, and they are also invited to the AGMs to then give their views on what it needs to be done. So before there's a huge disconnection, right? Motorsport is motorsport, and but now there's more relationship in growing it. Yeah.
Right. Is there are they recognized by, let's say, FIA or FIM?
Yes, since about a year and a bit ago, it has. the sporting authorities came, to hand over at the World Motorsport Council. So our president Tan Sri Mulzani has been a key figure to convincing FIA, because you need the World Motorsport Council's vote in order for you to have the authority of powers.
Yes.
And it's been very strong that MEM has achieved that, and FIM has also recognized that. So, but there's certain boxes that still needs to be implemented, and there's a big plans of mobility coming up soon.
Right. And how much was for the previous AM role that MEM has taken over, other than giving the racing licenses? What are the other roles that was taken over by from AM?
Obviously, yeah, the license, insurances, sporting side like the marshalling, the stewarding, race organization. Now there is motorsport development. FIA has introduced two big events now, which is FIA Asia Pacific Motorsport Championship for grassroots. So Malaysia was the first host 2 years ago. FIA announced 3 days ago about the Arrive and Drive International Cup, World Cup, which will be held in LYL, and that will be end of the year. So, yeah, FIA and FIM has put Malaysia on the map quite strongly. So, I think there's been very good leadership within MEM. Yeah.
Coming back to Sepang, now the circuit itself is hosting a lot of events. Other than the international sporting event, you also have the private events, even weddings, right? And I think it's an excellent move to have the public going in to cycle, to run, to jog. And also the open track there has been filled up very quickly. So basically, I think the whole year calendar is constantly filled up. And outside of it, you have the go-kart tracks, you have the dirt track as well. Anything other than these three that is in the pipeline?
So Driving Experience Center is one of our products,
Right.
to make it more accessible. Behind there's a new initiative done by a partnership with MSF called Bay 13, SIC Bay 13. So that is more on four wheels off-road rallying. They are also doing motocross fairly soon. So there's a sort of a long-term partnership with MSF to not just host races, but they're doing a lot of technical training within driving on off-roads and stuff like that, which is fantastic. Now, soon they're going to be opening up more developments around the circuit, so more commercial developments, and hopefully to host more races. That's the end goal. I mean, right now, to my knowledge, about 260 days have already been taken up out of 365. But don't forget, there's maintenance days, resurfacing days. You got to cut the grass and all that kind of stuff, which takes up a couple of days. So I think there's been a good push from everyone.
Is there any plans for replacing the marshal with digital LED flags?
There's already been installed for Super GT coming up, which was very good. I think certain infras like the track needs to be, in my view, needs to be 5G equipped soon, because cars are getting very tech savvy, and you need all this data and etc.
Media center, the line is always down sometimes.
Yeah, correct. And then stuff like not just, obviously it's next to an airport, but drones are also particularly needed.
Restricted.
Yeah. So the height limit, because it's next to KLIA, but if you notice, a lot of the media and stuff has been shooting with a lot of drones. And maybe a drone competition in Sepang would be quite cool in a way because of the space, but so I think connectivity has to be a lot more up to date.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right. So we have lost some major races throughout the years. We have lost F1, and I believe it's not coming back anytime soon. What about Asian World Rally or WRC even, or even the World Superbike Championship?
MAM has in their pipeline to restart the Rally of Malaysia. They did several sprint rallies, shorter courses, more restricted areas, which has been fantastic. But we have this FIA events that's already coming. So, like I said, we had the FIA APMC, but these are more grassroots championships, and then we have the World Cup coming at the end of the year, um, and that would take up quite a lot of resources to manage that, right? But on the hindsight of things, the return of Super GT brings a huge economic impact, from how big it was back then. Now after 2025, fans are still remembering it.
Yeah.
It brings good racing. GT World Challenge is around, Asian Le Mans is around, and they sign long-term partnerships with Sepang, which is fantastic. Even for the bikes, we have MotoGP that's been around since
Yeah.
the 2000s. That ongoing partnership with Donna has been very healthy. So I think despite of certain championships that's probably not on the calendar, there's probably new ones that are equally as substantial, but we can have more. We can have a lot more. Yeah.
Right. So coming back to corporate future after you retire from motor racing, any plans? Set up your own racing team, perhaps?
Actually, racing team hasn't really been on my top priority list. We've got, I'm blessed to be involved with Sepang previously for 6 years, and then MEM and stuff like that. We've also got a bit of our family involvement, my family businesses. So hopefully, yeah, one day I would love to be at the helm to drive Malaysian motorsports forward. That's my sole passion and drive. Whatever I've gathered and learned over the years, or the mistakes that I've learned, is best to implement within the industry here. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where the future holds. I'm turning 33, like you said, and there's plenty of years ahead for me to
Yes,
make more
definitely.
mistakes.
But I guess in four-wheel, age has not really been an issue, right? We have seen some seniors who are still doing very well in WRC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, you see Sebastian Loeb
yeah,
jumping any car and still winning, right?
Right.
It gets boring the fact that people know he's fast. Sebastian Ogier as well, But anyway, yeah, you're right. Four wheels has different dynamic, I guess, to being at the top.
right.
But me being competitive, I'm a type to win and qualify pole and want to be in front. At some point, I know the young guys are going to be slightly faster, slightly more sharper.
Like they always say, I beat you by experience.
Exactly, you're exactly right. But yeah, let's see how far this goes. And I enjoy what I do, Justin. I every time I wear my helmet, or every time I finish a race, it still puts a smile on my face. Having to do this professionally. So yeah.
Is there a race that is your dream that you really want to get into? And
There's two races actually. I have a huge unfinished business in Le Mans.
Okay.
I only did it once, and I feel that with the right package, things could have been done a lot better.
Asian Le Mans or World Le Mans?
Le Mans 24 hours.
24 hours. Okay.
And I have not done Daytona 24 hours in
Right.
the US. So I've done a lot of the other stuff like Sepang 12, Shanghai, and I got Shanghai 8 hours this year and stuff like that. But yeah, Daytona and Le Mans is my huge bucket list that I need to take. So I hope that will come someday.
But to go into Le Mans, you need to qualify for Asian Le Mans.
Yeah,
As an Asian
if you win
Top three.
Asian Le Mans, you get the entry,
Right.
right?
Can you automatically qualify for that? Asian Le
No,
Mans?
if you do European Le Mans, certain entries automatically
I
qualifies.
see. Okay.
But you need to do this refresher course for safety in Paris, where it takes half a day for you to do the flags, lighting signals, and all that simulation. So I think mine is pretty much expired already. So I'm probably going to refresh that. But yeah, I would love to do all of that again. Yeah.
But never anything off road like rally or
You know what?
even Dakar.
Funny you mentioned rally. I watch quite a bit of rally, and it pops up on my Instagram all the time. And
It's
maybe
a
not,
sign.
yeah, maybe not gravel, but tarmac.
Tarmac?
I would
Tarmac
love
rally.
to have a go, at least in a WRC2 car. Those cars sounds good, and it's fast, it's four wheel, and when you see the car jumps and when it lands, like
Can block.
yeah, it's so cool. I hope to have a chance one day.
Right.
WRC2 car.
Right. So thank you very much, Jasmine,
Thank
for
you,
your
Justin.
time. Thank you for coming.
you.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
thank you so much. We
Pleasure.
totally enjoyed with you. And like I said, if you can support in any way, whether for your coverage or for Solar Energy,
Sure.
do let us know. Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
Nice meeting
Good
you,
time.
Justin.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.